You're watching TVC Breakfast. Nigeria's public health care space is bedeviled by a poor infrastructure, old or inappropriate equipment, and the dearth of qualified professionals because most have sought better job opportunities outside the shores of the country.
This all contributes to why Nigerians travel abroad for medical care. Now, just recently, President Muhammadu Buhari expressed concern over the country's huge loss to medical tourism. The president said the country was losing as much as 400 billion naira to medical tourism annually because of the country's health sector's low response to public health emergencies, inability to combat outbreak of deadly diseases, and mass migration of medical personnel out of the country. Public affairs analyst and former presidential candidate Victor Ohai. Good morning, Victor. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Now, recently, the president said that Nigeria lost about 400 billion naira to medical tourism annually. What do you make of this report?
Let me also give you another shocking statistic before I answer. I was just going through, I just saw something from the Federal Ministry of Health, its Director of Planning, Research and Statistics, Dr. Ngozi Azodo, recently disclosed that about 198.95 billion naira is spent by public officers on medical tourism. That's about half of that figure. So that, I mean, that is shocking. You know, so, I mean, health is a human right, if you ask me. You know, good health care is a human right. And for us to spend that much money, I think is, to say the least, criminal. And the reason I say so is, if your workforce is not healthy, then you are not a healthy nation. There's very little that you can do. So that, I mean, that we're spending 400 billion means that there's a need for a state of emergency in our medical sector.
Beyond a state of declaring a state of emergency in the health sector, when you look at the government's commitment to ensuring that it delivers quality medical care, there is a declaration where the AU says 15% of the annual budget should be dedicated to the healthcare or the health sector, but then we keep falling short. We either get to 8% or 9% or in fact 4%.
Now let me put it this way. Two critical sectors that have such recommendations are education and health. It's not an accident. More often than not, we tend to think that, oh, there are other areas of priority and all of that. But the truth is, if you're not healthy, there's very little you can do. If you're not educated, there's also very little that you can do, okay? And so these are areas that, no matter what happens, should not be compromised. Imagine the figure, 400 billion. Now, medical tourism isn't just about taking this money out. It's about losing our best hands. We're training great doctors in this country, but you know what? We're training them for other countries. And the irony of all of this is that our people leave this place, they go out to these places, and they get treated by Nigerians.
So if we have them return back to the country, do we have the structures in place that, or the equipment for them to work with?
Well, this is where government should prioritize. If our 15% of budget is implemented, of course this shouldn't be a problem. Why do I say so? You know, there's certain sectors that get special pay. NMPC, FRSC, I'm talking about public service and all that. Doctors to an extent and all that. But you know what? If that much money is going out, I do not see why our doctors shouldn't be paid. Our medical personnel, let me put it, not just doctors, our medical personnel should not be very well paid. We've talked about, I mean, we often talk about centers of medical excellence. I remember Obasanjo a couple of years ago had brought in this, and I actually went, I saw this facility, VAMED, it's a company in Austria and all that. They were revamping some of the medical facilities in the country and all that. And I'm asking myself, whatever happened to all of this? Is it that we're not interested in maintaining this thing? So if you ask me, really, our doctors, young doctors, specialists and the rest, should, as a matter of priority, be well taken care of in this country.
How troubled are you when you hear of the amount of money involved in medical tourism from Nigeria to either India, UK, South Africa, and other countries?
To say the least, very troubled. And the reason is, the figure is mind-boggling. $400 billion, if you were to translate that to... Naira,
yes.
sorry. I mean, this is money, for instance, that could have, scarce foreign exchange, that could have been used in importing first-class diagnostic tools into this country. I'm talking about foreign exchange now.
The president has talked about this, expressed this concern. He himself has been one of those contributing to that amount when it comes to. but if we look at the concern he has now, because in 2018 he was talking about approving about 55.1 billion naira as part of the 1% consolidated funds for healthcare, according to the Healthcare Act. Now, how far would that go in trying to reverse the trend?
Not far enough, I'm afraid. If we were to go by EU's recommendation of 15% of budgetary allocation by members, and same goes for education as well. I like putting both side by side. Health is something you can't compromise, because a healthy nation, a healthy people are a wealthy people. Because no matter how much money you have, it can be wiped out in an instant due to health challenges. One epidemic can wipe out a whole generation. You know that. And so health is not something to be compromised for whatever reason. And that's why we must not compromise on that. It should be prioritized. It should be made, a state of emergency should be declared. There's so much money being wasted on medical tourism. Our doctors, we're losing doctors. We're training doctors in this country. And these same doctors go out of this country and they go to these same facilities where our people go, and then, they tell them the best that they have are these same Nigerians trained in this country. Okay?
You have a lot of them in the UK,
oh, yes,
a lot of them in the
US, in Saudi Arabia.
And in fact, the new dimension, the new trend now, rather, is a lot of Nigerian doctors and medical personnel going to African countries like Rwanda, African countries like Kenya and Tanzania.
Yes. So how does that benefit us, for instance? We don't seem to appreciate what we have. And if we were, and that's very important for us to do, is to be able to say to ourselves, the same way that we pay special salaries to FIRS, special salaries to NMPC. Yes, we may say doctors are slightly elevated among other professionals. It's not just about doctors, the entire medical system.
So it's also about welfare.
Welfare is very critical. Okay. Diagnostic tools, left to me, take away every duty there is. Because, why do people go to India, for instance? At the beginning, because of wrong diagnosis here, we have people say, they discovered very late that that the person had cancer and all that, and so they go out. But if you have first-class medical diagnostic centers here, because at the root of medical health care is diagnostics. If you can detect, we talk about early detection.
Yeah, but if we have to start, if we have to take the first step now, because you talked about the issue of the need for a state of emergency in health. If we have to take the first step, what should be done right now by government? Because health is on the concurrent list, so the federal government, the state government, and all the tiers of government should actually put their hands on deck.
Now, first step, in 2014, I want to read out something here. In 2014, at the time, the Director of Planning, Research and Statistics at the Federal Ministry of Health, Dr. Ngozi Azoro, had disclosed that public officers alone spent 198.95 billion naira on medical tourism. That's as at then, which means of the 400 billion, I probably would have gotten up to about 250 billion public officers. So the first step is to ban public officers the biggest beneficiaries.
In 2015,
Yes.
when the Minister of Health came on board,
Yes.
he promised to put an end to public officials
lip
going in.
service.
All right, but we have to leave you here now. Victor
Yes.
Khai, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.